What first got you interested in writing?
I was always interested in writing.
Mm.
It's actually quite funny. I think every author every writer that I've ever spoken to liked reading, and
Yeah.
as such was like, maybe I should try writing, and got into writing that way. I was very much the inverse. I used to hate reading. Um,
Yeah.
all I wanted to do was write. So I was writing since I knew how to spell, although based on some of my early picture books, I don't think I did know how to spell, but yeah. um, yeah, so I was very much into writing from the get-go. Um, and so I couldn't read because every time I sat down to read, I was like, I just want to be writing. It wasn't for lack of
I'm
trying. I
wasting
kept
my
trying to
time.
read. Yes, exactly. I kept trying to read, and it wasn't, yeah, a lack of example either. Like my parents read, my
Yeah.
younger sister read, my grandparents
Yeah.
read, all my friends at school read. And so I kept trying books, kept trying, kept trying. But yes, it sort of didn't happen until I was in maybe late primary school that I started to like reading. Finally.
Yeah.
um, yeah, and so I think it was always writing for me. There's not one point I can pinpoint where I was like, yeah, this is where I started writing. I just always was. Um,
Do
and
you?
that made me want to read so that I was a better writer. So I actually taught myself to like reading so that I could
Oh,
write better. It was never, yeah, the other way around. Normally it's the inverse,
it
but for me,
is.
it was very much writing first, then reading as a result.
I was just thinking that like that is so unique because it is normally the opposite way.
Yes, I've never heard anyone that's
No.
gotten into reading because they liked writing first. So,
Do you
yes.
remember like what was like the catalyst? What sort of made you get like that first book and sort of like read it?
Yeah, so I kept trying, kept trying, kept trying, kind of started to give up, was like, maybe reading is just not
Mm.
for me, and I'll just
Mm.
continue being a terrible writer because I don't ever read. But I think I first read Harry Potter
Oh,
and loved
yes.
it, automatic obsession, devoured all of those books, and then was like, maybe I do like reading, but then couldn't find any books that like measured up to it,
Yeah.
so kind of fell out of reading. I was like,
Mm.
nope, it was just a fluke. Don't actually like reading. But kept trying anyway. And then there was Percy Jackson, which kind of did the same thing, where I loved all of the books, read them super quickly, was like, okay, I do love reading. And then the same thing happened where I just fell back out of it. Finally, when I read The Madoran Chronicles by Lynette Noni, I, yeah, loved all of those books,
Yeah.
then read her other books and loved those. And then I kind of kept reading and
Mm.
never quite fell back. I haven't stopped since.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think at first I thought maybe I do love reading, but I actually just loved the books. Like I
Yeah.
read because I loved the books.
Yeah.
I think now I read because I like reading. Like I like
Yes.
reading as an art form. And yes, I think I will read just for the sake of reading,
Yeah.
rather than just because I like the books. So it took a little while. I had to
Mm.
like the books first,
Mm.
and then I started liking reading.
Yeah.
But I think it was that combination of those three series at the start, from Harry Potter to Percy Jackson
Yeah.
to the Madoran Chronicles, eventually just kind of clicked into place.
Yeah, no, and that's so interesting too because like people who may think like they don't like reading, it can be just really because they haven't found that book that's right for them
Yeah.
or that
Yes.
series.
Yes. And if I didn't like writing, I would have given up trying to
Yeah.
read. Like I only kept trying to get into reading because I wanted to be a better writer.
Yeah.
So,
It
yes,
like
very,
kept you there.
yeah.
And also it's really beautiful too because like you sort of after those first initial books, you sort of like as a reader built a trust with Lynette as an author like
Yes.
over time and that's still continuing now. Because
Yes.
some
Yeah.
readers they'll just like trust that author so much and then read the next thing and the next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's lovely.
What comes first for you, the story or the characters when
When I'm
writing?
writing,
Mm.
still the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely still the characters. I feel like the same thing happens when I'm reading, to be honest. I
Mm.
come for the plot, stay for the characters.
Yeah.
So even though characters mean more to me
Mm.
when I'm writing, I think plot will still be the idea that I get.
Mm.
I'll still think of the plot first, but then the characters that I build into that is what keeps it going.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a plotter or a pantser?
I am some crazy amalgamation of both.
Nice.
Yes, it depends on, so yeah, I think it's different for each idea that I've had,
Mm.
but no matter where I start, I end up doing the other one by the end. So
Oh,
like I'll come up with an idea and I'll be like,
wow.
this is perfect. I just need to start writing and I'll be like
Yeah.
pantsing and then I'll get like halfway through and be like, okay, I need to plot this out now. And then
Roadblock.
I'll plot, right? But if I start with an idea and go, okay, I'm gonna plot this all
Yeah.
out. I start with a plot and
Yeah.
then I end up being a pantser. So
Interesting. That's interesting.
yes, basically a combination of both and the opposite to how I started.
Wow. What do you prefer? Like, what's easier for writing if you could prefer like one of them?
Probably plotting.
Mm.
I think part of me is like, I just want to do some pantsing. Like, I just want to
Yeah.
go for it and write it. But I think
I need to plan.
I've gotten stuck too many times. And so I know that if I plot, I at least have some chance of
Yeah.
getting through it.
Yeah. Do you listen to music when drafting or editing? Also, do you make playlists for your stories, even when drafting, and or do you make mood boards?
Yes, to all of it.
Great.
Um, yes, I'm a big Pinterest girl. So I
Yes.
spend a lot of time on Pinterest and have boards for everything. I think I counted the other day and had like 213 boards on Pinterest.
Wow.
Um, so yes to mood boards, 100%. Playlists, normally, yes. I think I have a general kind of writing playlist, or I have like a different playlist for like different kinds of writing.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily have a playlist for everything that I write. Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
But normally if there's a scene that I'm like, I need to get in the mood for it, I like make a playlist that suits the kind of scene that it is. Like if it's a battle scene, there's a battle playlist.
So many.
Um, yeah. So
Yeah.
yes, I do listen to music and I do have playlists and mood boards. Yeah.
And how do those sort of mood boards help you? Do they just help you like with feeling like, what the story might look like, what the characters might look like the world you're going to build, the aesthetic?
Yeah, I think generally I just enjoy it. It doesn't have to be useful for me to do it. I'll do it
Yeah.
anyway. Um,
Great.
but I think, yeah, quite often I do refer back
Mm.
to, like, I know I've written characters based on images that I've seen
Yeah.
on like Pinterest, and I'll save it. I'll be like, okay, this is going to be this character, this is going to be this character. And even if all of the characterization is completely my own and I go
Yeah.
off on my own little tangents, I
Yeah.
still do keep coming back to that picture
Yeah.
and go, this was the original,
It's a good reference.
this was the original idea of this character. This is who they are.
Yeah, I love
No
mood
matter what I
boards.
do later on. Yeah.
Talk us through starting a novel. What do you actually do first?
Ugh. Um, I think plotting
Mm.
potentially, unless I'm in a pantser mood, I think plotting is the main thing. I go through and I
Yeah.
plan it all out in a Google Doc with all dot points. And then, you open a doc and you do the layout first. Like you do the setup with the
Yeah.
the indentation and the spacing and stuff and all the boring things, and then you start and then stop and start and stop until you get a kind of a good flow going, like 50 pages in. And then you can kind of just go from there. But yeah, I do tend to plot it out at some point. At least I'll plot out a few dot points and I'm like, this is enough to make a start. And then I write up to
Fine.
that dot point and then I'm like, I was stupid. Why didn't I plan out the rest of this? Like um yeah, and you can do the Pinterest boards things and the
Yes.
Spotify things and
The
yeah,
fun things.
yeah.
Also, how long would it take you with planning prior to writing? How long would you spend on it before you started writing?
Yeah, it's different for everything, I
Mm.
think. Every idea is different. Every idea comes
Mm.
differently. Um, and so there've been some ideas where I've got so many scenes like fleshed out in my mind and I can just see it. And so it's really easy to just kind of start it and I've because I've already got so much that's like built up in my
Mm.
mind. Um, but then there's also times when like I've got a very minuscule idea and I'm like, well, I want to write it, I want to flesh it out, and then the planning takes forever because I've only got this tiny little idea and I need to like grow it into a plot.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's different for everything, but yeah.
Do you feel there's a risk too with if you spend a lot of writers they can get like caught up with the planning and then there's like the risk that they need to stop, they actually need to start writing. Like, is there a
Mm.
certain point where you think I have to stop this planning now, I have to actually go into the writing?
Yeah, I think it's good to have some plan,
Mm.
even if you're like, this is awful. I'm not gonna end up writing this. Like, just have dot points
Yeah.
there so you at least have a direction. But yeah, I think there is a point where it's like, just start because it's not gonna go according to the plot anyway. I've never heard an author say,
No.
yes, I plotted it out and then stuck to it. Like, no one does that.
No.
So I think it's good to have something down.
Mm.
So keep plotting enough to have something there to give you
Mm.
direction. But yes, I think definitely there is a point where it's
Mm.
like just start writing because it's not going to go to plan anyway, and just go from there.
It's almost like you need that rough, that skeleton, and
Yeah,
then you sort of like flesh it out with the writing. But you
yeah,
need that actual, like that skeleton there for structure.
yeah. You could have the best laid plot and still get halfway through and go, you know what? I'm going to go
Yeah.
in this different direction now.
Yeah. I'm just going to change it.
Yeah.
What genre do you prefer writing in? Does it change dependent on the story, or also if a story called for it? Would you write in a genre you're not usually comfortable in, but like the seed of the idea called for something a bit different to what you're usually writing in?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So I normally lean towards fantasy.
Mm.
Same as when I'm reading. I'll read everything, but there are genres that I prefer. Same with writing. I can write in any genre. I probably have written in
Mm.
every genre, but yes, it's always fantasy that I come back to. That's where I thrive. Um, but like I'm currently writing dystopia sci-fi. Like it's
Oh.
I don't it is based on what the idea calls for. There
Yeah.
are ideas that I've had that I was like, this would make a great historical fiction
Yeah.
novel, but I don't feel equipped to write it. So it's not just I'll completely adapt to each idea. There are ideas that I've had that I'm like, well, I can't write that.
Mm.
Like I don't do that genre. Um,
Would you save those ideas for like a few years down the track, maybe when you feel more able that like to write that? Would you just save them?
sometimes, there are some that I'm like, that is so out of my league. I
Mm.
don't think I'll ever get
Mm.
around to that. Not necessarily just because I don't feel ready yet,
Mm.
but um, just because it's not what I write.
The interest has to be there, yeah.
Yeah. So like there are ideas that I've had like where I'll be like, that would make a good book, but I'm not writing it. Um,
I just want to see it.
yeah.
I want to read it. Awesome. Um, you've written both novels and short stories as well as poetry. Do you approach them all differently in the way that sort of how you start and go about each one? Obviously, there's a difference in word count and everything in the style, but when you get that initial idea, even if it's for a poem, do you approach them differently?
Um, yes,
Mm.
but I think if I am just in the mood to write and I feel like just writing, like I
Mm.
want to write today, um, I'll always go back to novels. Like
Oh.
that is what I write. That is my preferred form. That is what I come back to. So I always kind of come back into novel writing.
Mm.
Um, if I write anything else, I have to have the idea for
Mm.
it. Like I think people who write poetry
Mm.
can write other things, but if they're like, I just want to write today, they always fall back into poetry. Like that's their natural. So I always fall naturally into
Mm.
novel writing.
Like
Um,
automatic almost.
yeah. But if I have an idea where I'm like, this would make a good short
Mm.
story, then I can write a short story. with that idea.
Mm.
Or poetry especially. Like I love writing poetry, but I'll never just go, I'm gonna write some poetry today. I have to
Yeah.
have an idea and I have to go, this would make a good poem and like sit down and write
Wow.
that poem.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it has to come to me differently.
Mm.
So yeah, like I've done a bit of everything, but everything other than books,
Yeah.
everything other than long form doesn't necessarily come automatically. It's like I have
Yeah.
to have the idea and sit down and just write it. Um,
Wow.
in terms of like changing the way I plan it out and
Mm.
things, I don't think there is much difference
Mm.
in that. I think with poetry, if I have an idea, I'll just make it work.
Yeah.
And I like a lyrical flow and a bit of rhyme in it, so I tend to go where the words take
Yeah.
me. But yeah, with everything else, I think it's pretty much the same. The idea just comes differently, and I have to sit down and write it rather than just like fall
Wow.
back into it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And have you ever been like knee deep, like writing a story that you're really interested in? And have you ever had an idea, like a really strong idea that you absolutely love, come and just like almost make you or made you put what you're writing on hold and like get to the next one, get to that?
Um, I think there've been times when I've like put what I'm writing on
Mm.
hold to plan the next one, where I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
this is a great idea, I have to flesh it out. But I've managed to hold myself back from just jumping
Yeah.
straight into it and writing it. So there's been times where I'm like writing and I'm like, this would be a good idea. And then I put it aside and kind of get a Google Doc out and just dot point, dot point, dot point, dot point. But I think I've managed to hold myself back from going from one project to another, then another, then another.
Mm,
Because that's what happens. You keep falling into new projects.
you
If I
do.
jumped out of one project every time I had a good idea, I would never, never get through one. Um, yeah, so I think I have jumped out of projects to plan
Mm.
others, but yeah, I don't tend to stop writing one to write another.
I think like so many writers have like all these different folders for all these different stories they want to write.
Yes, and like just notes
Yeah.
on their phone and notebooks full
So
of
many
them.
notes, so many notes.
Yes.
So you've written short stories such as Even Fall and From Saigon with Love, as well as novels. Though they're different, do you still draw inspiration from your personal life for each story? And is there a part of yourself that you've put in each of the characters that you have created from books, from short stories? Do you feel like you put a
Good
bit of
question.
yourself in each one?
I don't know. I definitely never have deliberately kind of been like, this is
Yeah.
me, this is how
Yeah.
I'm expressing myself. It's never been a deliberate thing. Um, I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I'm sure that one day, maybe in hindsight, I will be reading through an old project and be like, this was me. Um, but no, I think I like writing things that are outside of myself. Like I like
Mm.
creating new people that are, yeah, completely unique to
Yeah,
me.
no.
Um, yeah, so I'm not sure. I'm sure there have been like stories that have happened in real life that I like
Mm.
insert as like a little Easter egg to myself, but never something that's like, yeah, this means something to me. Yeah, I don't know.
And you've said that obviously your favorite genre to read and write is fantasy. And also what you just mentioned about characters. Do you love fantasy also for the fact that it is so far apart from, normal daily life that we know? Is that sort of one of the things that had attracted you to fantasy as both a reader and a writer?
Yeah, I'm definitely partly drawn to it because it's so far removed from
Mm.
our world, but it's also just cool.
Yes,
Like,
it is.
who doesn't want to read about dragons and swords and things? Yeah, so that's definitely part of it. But yeah, I also just love everything that's in fantasy books and fantasy movies.
You're also a journalist and editor for the Western Sydney University publication WhatsApp. where you did a wonderful series this year, Rise of Australian Romanticy, where you interviewed Australian authors. What was your biggest takeaway or best piece of advice from interviewing them? What will you take into your own writing?
Yeah. Yes, I've had the pleasure of interviewing so many really cool authors this year, which has been lovely, and more coming up, which is
Mhm.
very exciting. Um,
Those penguin arcs.
yes, lots of Penguin authors, but also some Westworld authors
Mm,
and some others as well.
mm,
Um, yes, I think the biggest thing I've noticed about
mm.
interviewing so many different authors
Yeah,
is their stories are so different,
really.
which may sound really obvious, but I think,
I actually thought it'd be a bit similar, actually.
yeah, well, as in, there are lots of aspects that
Mm,
are
mm.
similar, but in terms of the way that they write, even, yeah, just the way that they write, the kind of environment that they sit down and write in,
Yeah.
it's so funny. I love hearing from every author how they write. So one was like, well, I have kids, so when they fall asleep on my lap, I'm just writing
I'm
like over
there.
them. And then another one is like, I need white noise. So like I need people chattering in the background or like water
Yes.
running or something like that. Another one was like, I need to listen to music. Or there's ones that are like, I have a writing chair, or I have to be on the porch looking out at the view, or I have to be at my desk. And everyone has like a different writing space where they get into writing,
Wow.
and everyone has different things that keep them going
Yeah.
and different reasons for writing, and so many different things that make every writer different. And I think the reason that that is so important is
Mm,
because I feel like growing up wanting to write and write and write, I always had this idea of the perfect writer. Like I knew every other writer got into writing because they liked reading first, so I had
yeah.
to read, right? I feel like that one was fair. But there are other ones where I'm like, this is what writers do, so I have to do this too. And it's actually like, no, every writer is different. Every single author that I've talked to is has a different, yeah, has a
Mm,
different story and a different approach to
mm,
writing, and yeah, just different life experiences that
mm,
make them unique. And
mm.
so there's not one thing you have to do to be a perfect writer. There's not someone who you have to be.
Mm.
You just, yeah,
And
it's,
that's such good advice too, Ellie. And like you hear of like authors too, like they love writing in like crowded cafes. And you would
yeah,
think I when I heard that, I would think that would be so distracting, like hearing a lot of people like in a
yeah,
crowded cafe, but they love it. It's how they write. It's their
yeah,
preferred environment.
yeah. But yeah, not everyone. That's what I
Yeah,
mean. Like
exactly.
there are some people who love that and some people who, yeah. So as long as you don't hear that and go, oh, okay, so to be a good writer, I
Yeah.
have to enjoy working in a cafe with people being loud in the background. Like you can also enjoy writing next to like a
Yeah.
quiet lake. Like
Yeah.
it's everyone's so different, and it's important to know that there's not one thing you have to do to be a good writer, or yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
for sure.
your writing space, what does that look like?
Oh.
What do you prefer?
um, I do have a desk that I use occasionally, but I quite often just write wherever I'm resting. Like it is kind
Yes.
of a relaxing thing for me. I'm sure if, it goes further and I'm like on deadline or
Yeah.
something like that, that I'll need a much more quiet, like I'll probably use my
Yeah.
desk for that where I need a
Yeah.
quiet space. But quite often I'm just chilling on the lounge and I'm like
Yeah.
typing away.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that also because you feel more like sort of free and you feel more relaxed? Whereas if like you said to yourself, okay, I've got to go to the desk now and write, it feels more like, I don't know, like a job maybe. I don't know.
Yes, I think in some ways that would be a good thing because then it's
Yes.
like, okay, now you're writing.
You hit,
You're
yeah,
not
that
distracted.
word
That
count.
is what you're doing. Um, so I think that can be very powerful. But
Mm,
I do think it is a relaxing thing for me. And because I write as my job, like I'm studying writing, I'm
mm,
working in writing, I'm doing so much writing, it's nice to be able to separate work writing with leisure writing.
mm,
Um, so yeah, I think it's good to like sit at my desk and work
mm,
on an article, or sit at my desk and write for the research project that I'm writing
mm.
for. And then, I go onto the lounge and write what I enjoy writing.
Yes. No,
Um,
it's a good
Not that I
difference.
don't enjoy my job. I do enjoy my job, but yeah, it's nice to separate those two.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What does romanticy mean to you as both a reader and a writer? So the word romanticy.
Yeah. I mean, it means romance fantasy. Um, I feel like it's just such a perfect way to, like, I don't want to read a romance. I don't want to sit down and read a romance book. I'm like, no, I do this boring stuff. Um, but it's just a great way to introduce romantic aspects into a genre that I love. Like, I love fantasy and it just sprinkles romance in perfectly. Um, yeah, but I think it's so cool because romanticy is very much a women's initiative. I think female authors are the ones pumping out romanticides. And that's been so cool because fantasy is a genre that's been dominated by men. It was started by men, men read it, men write it. It's such a male genre.
Yeah.
And to see female authors come into the fantasy
Yeah.
sphere because we've added that touch of
Mm.
fantasy. I'm sorry, we've added that touch of
Yeah.
romance to the fantasy. Um, yeah, it's been really cool to see women coming into this space
Mm.
and writing romanticides. Not just that, but Australian
Yes.
authors as well. It's been a big thing in Australia, which is why I'm doing my Rise of Australian Romanticists series
Yay.
because it's been so cool to see it become a thing in Australia.
Mm.
Australia is known for its crime fiction. We don't do fantasy. This is new to Australia. We do crime fiction. And so the fact that now Australian authors are
Mm.
coming into the fantasy space, not just Australian, but Australian female authors are
Yes.
coming into the fantasy space, taking over fantasy. Like,
Yeah.
fantasy is now like one of the most popular subgenres of fantasy. Um, Probably the most popular
Yeah.
subgenre of fantasy now. And it's Australian female authors, I
Mm.
think is huge for me
Yeah.
as both a reader and a writer.
And
Yeah.
also, I remember the Sydney Writers' Festival, that was really evident too at
Yeah.
all those talks, like with romanticy and female
Yes.
authors.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially oh, what was it? The romantasy panel. I
Yeah.
don't remember what it was called, but they
Think
talked a
it,
lot about the power of women coming into the genre of,
yeah.
which is really cool.
Yeah, no, they did. And I think it was like Ladies' Night. Yeah.
Yes, that was a different panel,
Yeah.
but yeah, similar thing. And I
Mm.
think not just writers,
Mm.
but characters.
Yes.
So it's been dominated by males for so long, in terms of authors, all of the authors are men, but in all the fantasy books, so are the characters. Like
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
all men, and I love Lord of the Rings. It's like my favorite thing ever, but there's like two women.
Yeah.
Um, so I think, yeah, it's been really cool to see Australian female authors
Mm.
come into the space writing female fantasy characters. That
Absolutely.
aren't just there for the
Yeah.
romance. Like there's romance in it, obviously, because it's romantasy, but they're often the main characters doing a lot of the fighting and the
Yeah.
leading, and I think that's really cool.
And I feel like, fantasy is and was great, but like to add the romance element to fantasy, like especially for female readers and writers, it's brilliant. And I
Yeah,
feel like this year you really felt that sort of like that surge in popularity and
yeah.
everything. And in the books you'd see on the shelves this year, it really became evident this year, I feel.
Yes, I think it used to be a situation of women were judging men for
Yeah.
like reading fantasy and being like, it's not even real. Like, why do you like this? And such a nerdy thing. And now it's like the opposite, where men are like, too much,
We
too much
love it.
fantasy. Mm.
What's your thought on fan fiction?
I never got into it. I don't have a problem with it, but I never got into it. I
Yeah.
never wrote it. I never read it,
Yeah.
really. I think, yeah, I love that it got so many people
Mm.
into reading where
Yeah.
they watched a show and they were like, I need more of this, and just like wrote a fan fiction. But yeah, so I don't think it's a bad thing, but
Mm,
I haven't had much to do with it, honestly. I couldn't
yeah.
tell you.
I think it's used, especially this year, I've seen it's used a lot like when someone sees like a movie like Wicked or something and
Mm,
it didn't necessarily go the way they wished.
yeah.
They'll then like come home and write like the story they wanted.
Yes. I think it's a big thing when a character dies.
Yeah.
When a character in a book dies and the reader's
Yes.
not happy,
No.
they find a way to bring them back to
They
life, or
revive
they
them.
go earlier in their lives and explore more of that character. So I think, yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool that it can connect readers deeper with characters. But
Yeah.
yes, I never was interested personally.
What's a piece of advice you'd give to an ex aspiring writer?
Um, read. Yes, get into reading.
It sounds so simple.
Um, it just I was always sick of hearing that
Yeah,
because
no,
I
but
didn't
it's
like
so
reading, but I
true.
like writing, and
Yeah.
so every author was like, "Just read; it'll make you a better writer." I was always like, "No, I don't want to." But obviously, it's monumentally changed
Mm,
my writing. So my advice is to read, but
mm,
I also think I'm trying to think of advice that's not really cliche.
mm.
Like you can't work with a blank page. You
Yeah.
gotta write. Like, oh my gosh, I've heard that so many times.
Finish what you start.
Yes, that's a big one as well.
Is
I've heard too much cliche writing advice. It's just circling now. But I think talk to other writers.
mm,
That's a good one.
that's a good one.
Yes, talk to other writers because they'll have all the cliche writing
Mm,
advice, but they'll also have so many experiences to draw from. And I think so much of what I've learned has been going to interviews and hearing a panel talking about writing, or being friends with other writers and
mm,
talking to them about writing and hearing from their experiences, and reading their books, knowing their experiences is a different thing as well. So like read, but also
mm.
if you know other writers, you can read their books and know how they got to that point. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's yeah, join a writing group,
yeah,
go to Westwords or something, like
yeah.
get to know writers and go to interviews and hear panels talk about writing.
Yeah.
Just hear as much as you can about other authors' experiences
Mm.
and learn from them.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful advice. And also because like writing is essentially like a really solitary, like lonely job. And I feel like if you know other writers, it really helps with that.
Yeah, and especially like I've heard so many authors talking about how hard COVID was,
Yes.
and everyone kind of assumes that they were in their element.
Well,
Like
like, yeah.
yeah, I've heard so many writers say that people talk to them like, you must have been so good in COVID, like just writing away
Mm,
in your corner. And they're like, nope, we really struggled.
yeah.
So I think, yeah, getting to know other writers and being able to connect with them,
Mm,
um, especially in times when it is so solitary, I think could be really beneficial
mm,
for any aspiring writer.
mm. Do you yourself struggle with that in any way?
Um, I think, I don't know, I think there have been times when I have potentially.
Mm,
I think I enjoy writing on my own, being on my own.
mm,
Very much an introvert. I like having my own space, but it's nice to come back every now and then and talk to other writers and
yeah.
just talk to other people about writing in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's always good, always
Yeah.
healthy.
It is.
Yeah.
Some of your stories are on Amazon, and your work can also be found on WhatsApp News website. You're also on social media, and you've just recently created a Substack. What are the main ways readers can get in touch with you and also support you now and in the future?
Yeah, good question. Thank you. I have a link tree.
Mhm.
It's on my Instagram. So the link tree will contain all of the links you would need. It's
Mhm.
got my email address on there, so if people wanted to contact me, there's my email.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's got kind of all the links to everything you can buy, so like the short stories you can access.
great.
And it's also got links to all of my journalist pages on all the newspapers I've written for. So yeah, everything is on my link tree.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a writing project you love to work on next year? Whether to start new or continue one?
Yeah, I have written the
Ooh,
first drafts of a trilogy.
yes.
And so I'm currently working on like I think it's the fourth draft of the first book.
Oh,
Hopefully this is the main one. Like hopefully this is the one that I'm able to just like edit and then take
yeah.
further. Because I've been drafting for a long
Wow.
time. I think I've done yeah, like four drafts of the first book, two drafts of the second book, and one draft of the third book. So
Wow.
I'm ready to kind of move on.
Yeah.
Like as in still with this project,
Yeah.
but like I'm ready to kind of take it
Yeah.
further. But I've just got to get it to that level. Um,
Exciting.
so I'm looking forward to hopefully getting that done.
Very exciting. Can't wait to read. Finally, what's your favorite part about writing?
That's probably the hardest question you've asked this whole time.
It's the last one.
um, I don't know. I think it is an art form,
Mm,
and I think you have to love the art. Like
yeah.
you have to love words and connecting them.
Mm,
And I think it just kind of blows me away when I think about it. It's the combination of 26 letters. Like that's all it is.
yeah.
It boils down to 26 letters, and
Yeah.
it's just different combinations of
Yeah.
them that creates a whole world and completely new people that don't really exist. But um yeah, so I think writing has always been the thing for me. Like I didn't read first.
Yeah.
So it was always writing was the escape. It was never I read and like encountered these new characters. Now I do.
Yeah.
But I think yeah, writing was always the way that I um yeah, it was always my form of
Mm,
artistic expression. I
mm.
don't mind drawing and painting and stuff, but it was always writing for me. And so I
Yeah.
think yeah, I love the art of writing. I
Mm,
love connecting the words. I love coming up with
mm.
new words, new ways of explaining things, and
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just explaining what writing is, but
No.
that's why I love it. Um, yes, one of my favorite quotes. It's like everywhere in my
Mm.
room, but
Oh,
it's I
well.
don't know who said it, but it's like reading is like breathing in, and writing is like breathing out, and
Yeah.
that's so true.
Yeah.
It's yeah, that's so accurate. It's you take in reading, you
Mm.
read and you consume, but there's this part of you that just needs to express as well and
Yeah.
compose. So, yeah.
I know I said that was the last question, but I just thought of another. Um, do you feel like when you're writing a story or even characters, even with the dialogue, and you read it back, even like months later after finishing the story, whether you're going through edits, do you feel like you then see maybe something you were trying to express, but you weren't aware of it at the time of writing, but like looking back on it, maybe at a certain stage in your life, you think, oh, I was actually maybe trying to say this.
Um, there's not like a specific example I can think of.
Yeah.
Quite possibly.
Mm.
I think it's common to read it back and be like, did I write this? I
Yeah.
don't remember this. Sometimes it's like,
When
oh,
was
did I write
this?
this? This is good stuff. And then other
Yeah.
times I'm like, how did I write this? Was
Yeah.
it like 4 a.m. and I just was out of it? Like, this is so bad.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess it's, yeah, there's probably been some times where I've read over it and been like,
Mm.
yeah, this is wild. There's connections I probably
Yeah.
didn't know existed here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for for this interview, Ellie.
No, of course. Thank you for asking me.
Thank you.